Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Trevor Scotto on the line, and he's co-founder and partner over at Fiduciary Financial Group. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Adam, it's such a pleasure to be part of your show today.
Oh, Trevor, so we have a great topic today that you brought us, which is how successful business owners can benefit from high-performing virtual family offices, and I think that's a great topic, and not only is it the way of, in my opinion, the future, but we're already there. Like a lot of people are benefiting from the type of setup that you propose, and maybe a good starting point for our conversation is maybe to define what a high-performing virtual family office is for those that are listening that maybe aren't too familiar with it.
Sure, that's a great question, and I get that all the time. But before I answer that, what I'd love to do is actually go over 3 common myths surrounding wealth management that exist today. First and foremost is that a virtual family office is really only for the super rich, right? But in this new virtual economy, as we're all kind of experiencing, is that this is no longer true, right? So we have the technology now that really allows firms like ours to serve clients all over the U.S. And on that same thread, we're able to connect and source the best experts and opportunities. And so we're really no longer prohibited by location. We're able to create that same experience just at a greater scale. 2, the second myth is that all advisors do the same thing. From the surface, from an investor's point of view, if you're doing research, I can completely understand on the surface, some of the websites use the same language, but I know the exact opposite is true. All advisors are very, very different, right? Amongst the advisors community, you'll find many differences between advisors. You have independent versus captive or employee advisors that work for big brokerages. You have fee-based versus commission-based. You have financial consultants that specialize more on life insurance than they do holistic advanced planning. Then you also have financial advisors who really only provide investment advice and will often deflect to your CPA for any advanced financial planning that you might have. You have advisors out there who have a systematic and proven process like ours, and those who do not. You have, last but not least, I would say there's generalists out there, they don't really specialize in a specific niche. And then you have specialists like ours who specialize in a specific niche. Some examples would be advisors that work with business owners directly, advisors that specialize in retirees, and advisors that specialize in doctors and physicians. And then, of course, underlying all of that, of course, the biggest difference is the advisors themselves, the team that supports them, and ultimately the process that they use in helping clients. The third myth that I think is extremely important for folks to know today is, the myth is, if I already have a financial advisor, a CPA, an insurance specialist, and an estate attorney, then I must be in good hands. And I wish, this was the case, but it's just simply not true. Time and time again, we've seen so many cases where families come to us and we're able to find gaps and hidden risks in their financial affairs. And we are usually finding these common errors. So to answer your question, right, so what is a high-performing virtual family office? Well, essentially, it's a group of hand-picked specialists that really know you inside and out, that work tirelessly and collectively behind the scenes, and they're constantly proactively looking out for you and your best interests to ensure that you're really making smart decisions about your money, mitigating taxes, taking care of your loved ones, asset protection, and magnifying your charitable intent, ultimately allowing you to live a life of significance.
So I'm a big fan of the model overall, and just looking at, and you mentioned that there's specialists, and you said this a couple times, but I want to make sure that people get the feel for what that type of relationship looks like. So can you tell us maybe what that user journey of working with various specialists may look like for some clients?
Sure. The short answer, you kind of have your attorneys, you have your insurance specialists, you have your tax professional, and then, of course, you have your investment and financial planning specialist. But, I would say when you take a bigger step back, it actually depends, right? It really depends on your specific needs. So, for instance, in some cases, I will actually act as a retained intermediary for some of my clients, which basically means that I'm in charge of finding the right specialists and opportunities to bring to that family. But I'll give you a really good example. So I have a recent client. They have a net worth of about $35 million, and this is the virtual family office that I've really built around them. First and foremost, it's an estate and a tax attorney who really specializes in taxable estates and advanced gifting solutions. We have a CPA who specializes in high net worth individuals and business owners. There's a business and employment attorney. We have a business valuation expert. We also have an independent insurance advisor that specializes in life, disability, and long-term care for high net worth families. And lastly, we have an independent property and casualty broker that also specializes in high net worth families. So as you can really see, it really depends on the client's unique situation. In some cases, we may need to bring in an M&A attorney, or here in the Bay Area, for instance, we have many successful tech execs with significant stock compensation. So in those cases, of course, we'll bring in a tax expert who really specializes in tax mitigation strategies for executives in the tech sector.
No, that's awesome. And so when somebody is looking at engaging and building one of these family offices and working with a company like yours, I mean, how do they really go about doing that? Like, tell me what some of that process looks like. Because at the end of this, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave your information so that people can connect with your firm if they want more information. So what does that process look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So finding the right wealth management firm and really the right wealth advisor who can build it for you is really tough in today's era. So there's three tips that I recommend most folks do. One, first and foremost, of course, is ask your tax accountant or attorney and really ask them, like, who do you trust, and really let them know what you're looking for. If you're truly looking for that virtual family office solution, ask them about who they might know in the community that they trust and that they'd be willing to provide a recommendation. Number two, of course, is ask your friends, family, and colleagues who they use and what services they're currently receiving from their advisors. So, for instance, most clients find us typically through their CPA or attorney or trusted family members. And the last tip, I can't stress this enough, is don't settle. Right? Who you choose to work with for your finances is a major life decision. This person and team will ultimately be guiding your decisions that will affect you and those you care about for years to come. Right? So your wealth typically represents hard work and sacrifice. So you'll really want to find the right wealth management expert who will truly act in a fiduciary capacity and has the expertise in your specific situation. And ultimately, what you're looking for is a virtual family office that can really give you the highest probability of optimal results.
Fantastic. Well, Trevor, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great stuff that you're doing over at Fiduciary Financial Group. So if somebody's listening to this and they want more information, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and your team?
That's a great question. The best thing, first and foremost, of course, is reaching out to our website. It's www.ffgwealth.com. Again, that's www.ffgwealth.com. Second, of course, is feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is tscotto, tscotto, @ffgwealth.com, and we'll schedule a discovery call with you.
Fantastic. Well, Trevor, really appreciate you coming on the show again and sharing more of your tips. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Definitely want you to be a return listener, have more great guests coming up just like Trevor for you, and don't want you to miss out. And Trevor, thanks again for coming on.
Adam, thanks again.